speaking affirmations over yourself. The more you hear it, the more you believe that it's true.
And welcome to Premier Fitness. I'm Gene Williams, your yoga instructor, and I'm here to tell you about the benefits of yoga.
Hey, everybody. Thank you for joining our show. You have just tuned in to Where is the Love? I am your host, and I am Stephanie Hawkenhall. Joining me is my co host, my son, Gene Williams.
Ooh, I'm all in the shadows. Can you see me? Can you see me?
I can't see you. You're invisible. Again, hey everybody, and thank you for joining our show. If you are watching our show, I ask you to share your Facebook pages or so that other people can join in and join in on our discussion and comment. We are looking forward to doing the show. We have a guest today. I'll tell you about that in a minute. On our last show, we always recap our last show. So, on our last show, we talked about bipolar disorder and bullying and how they come together, how those that have bipolar disorder bully, and how those that are around them may bully. So, that was our discussion last time on our last show. So, again, welcome to our show today. We look forward to sharing with you today. Love Misunderstood Institute, just a little history. Love Misunderstood Institute is where this show comes from. Where is the love? So Love Misunderstood Institute, we talk about bullying versus love and how love is misunderstood when you're bullying others. So bullying others, that is repetitive, coercive, forceful behavior. So not just a one-time thing where somebody's being mean to you, but it is repetitive. It happens over and over again. Then you know that person is bullying you. So I've had people say, just because somebody's being mean to them, they're bullying them. No, that's not bullying. So anyway, that's the definition of bullying. So you can catch us right now live on Facebook, Love Misunderstood Institute. You can also catch us on our YouTube channel, Love Misunderstood Institute. And normally, I'm not sure if it's happening today, but you can also catch us live on Premier Fitness 0210, that YouTube channel. So, again, thank you and welcome. You can also watch us on TV right now on Roku and Amazon Fire. All you have to do is search PODTV, all one word, space, live, LIVE, and watch us on TV. Son, you want to add anything? I said a whole lot.
Let's dive in.
All right. Okay, so today, well, part of what Love Misunderstood does is we talk about our three words for Love Misunderstood Institute is broken, delivered, and healing. And so people, when they've been bullied and they've experienced trauma, they have been broken and they experience a lot of brokenness. And so we know that you need to be delivered from that. So we provide information and tools to help you see, to open your eyes, to see what's going on with you and to choose. Simply make a choice to say, I don't want this anymore. And then healing can start in you. So, and we've been talking about unforgiveness and how if you don't forgive, there's healing needed. And so those are things that we've been doing. So, want to add anything, son?
Oh, no.
Okay. So, all right. So we are going to introduce our guest. And she talks about healing with spices. And Jean talks about healing with different herbs. So if you if you're not feeling well, you don't treat yourself well and you don't treat people well. So welcome our guest, Shani Smith from Can Do Spice.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me. And this is
You,
such an honor.
you are welcome. Thank you for coming. We're we're looking forward to doing this show and to learning how we can um, be, whole and be healed, through
Mhm.
spices and herbs, and so we can treat ourselves better, and so we can treat other people better. So if you're not, like I said, if you're not feeling well, you don't treat you well. You definitely don't treat others well because you don't care about them at that time. All you care about is how you're feeling. So tell us about yourself, Shani, and how you got started doing Can Do Spice.
So, as early as I can remember, I have always been intrigued with food and actually home improvement as well. I'm talking back when you only had like 20 channels. I'm watching the public TV channel, and we only had about five. It was Yan Can Cook, Jacques Pepin, Julia Childs, and Justin Wilson, right? And I would watch that on repeat all day Saturday, and that was what I loved, because also what happens in the kitchen is all the good stuff. You hear about all the stories from the family, so that's where you learn. And you know how people love to enjoy food, but they just don't understand how to flavor their food or how to even replicate a meal. How many times have you asked someone, "Well, what'd you put in it?" And can't really articulate it. Like
Yeah,
they're interested in supplements because they want to get healthier, but they don't know how to do it. Well,
yeah,
what I do is I take the guesswork out of enjoying flavor and wellness with my flavorful spice blends so that you can create delicious meals with healing benefits. And if I could, I'd cook for everyone. Well, that's not possible. I'm not even really that interested in it for real, right? But I want to be in the kitchen. I want you to feel what I feel when I created the blend. Like I want you to enjoy that. But I also want people to start just pique their interest in making healthy choices.
Right.
Because my mom suffered from dementia, she got to a place where she wouldn't take any of her medications, which, truth be told, was all right with me
Mm-hmm.
because I am totally anti Western medicine. But in order to get her to take it, I had to like crush it up and put it in her food.
Yeah.
So that's when it dawned on me like I could do this for other things.
Mm-hmm.
So I started like I've probably been using sea moss for years at this point. I know it's very popular now, but
Right.
I've been using sea moss, elderberry, echinacea. That's kind of how I was raised. I was raised on like cod liver oil, colloidal silver, that kind of thing. So I started putting that in their food. My dad didn't notice it either, So I'm like, how would you like some sea moss? He was like, I don't know what that is. I don't care what that is, and no, I don't want any. I'm like, well, you've been getting it for the last 6 months in your food, so that means you didn't notice.
Right.
So that was my way of sneaking it in there, and I would do that with other things. I would put in black seed because when I gave him black seed oil, he wanted no parts of that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a very strong peppery flavor, so it's easily something that you can do with salad dressing. It's so easy to have it powdered and just throw it in because you don't know. You
yeah,
can't taste it, but you're getting some of that goodness. And even it's not a cure all, absolutely, for the amount that's in my spice blends, but it gets you peaked. Okay, this could be fun. This could be interesting. It could be flavorful because people think when they hear that they have diabetes or they have high blood pressure, the first thing you think about is hospital food, something nasty. But God gave us everything
yeah,
that we need that
yeah,
doesn't come in a little bottle that you can shake it up. I'm not discounting that. And, some people are at a place where they are, but our bodies naturally want to heal. You get a paper cut, you don't have to go to the ER to go get stitches. A
Right.
couple days later, it's going to heal over if it has what it needs to heal itself. So that's kind of where it got birthed. Prior to that, I had a cafe and a cupcake truck. And although I loved seeing people get happy with that, I wanted people to get healthy. And then once the pandemic hit, it was like, I've been trying to tell you guys. They want you to drink bleach. They want you to OD on this raggedy sanitizer.
Right.
That's not it.
Right.
Do it here. When your check engine light comes on in your car, you don't just keep riding and act like it's just supposed to keep running.
Right.
right,
All these things are triggered. You're not supposed to have a headache. You're not supposed to have a rash. You're not supposed to be itching. You're not
Right.
supposed to be foggy.
Right.
Those are triggers, but we're so used to not feeling well, we don't even really know what well feels like.
yeah,
Yes. Yes, exactly.
That was a long story of it all. I'm just saying.
No, that's beautiful.
And Can Do is my dad's nickname.
Nice.
So, and he got that name because his name's Kenny, right? But he can do a little bit of everything. That's what his friends always called him. My last business was named after my maternal grandmother. And I felt like since the spices can do a little bit of everything, that I'd go ahead and give him that piece.
Love it.
I started cooking with him. My mom loved her to death, but she didn't care about cooking. She loved to eat, but but that wasn't her ministry. So
Right.
So did you do a lot of cooking for her when you were a teenager?
I started doing Thanksgiving when I was about 14.
Okay.
And then I took it from there. And I used to do 3 meals, one for my grandfather, one for the people who lived at the Y, maybe one uncle, depending on what was going on at the time, and then our house.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're talking 3-4 turkeys in a regular kitchen that don't have countertop. But I did it. I made it happen. So I've always been cooking. That's my love language.
Yeah.
So it was just only natural that I find a way that can give me some time back, but I can also give back.
Yeah. That's awesome. Cooking, I like cooking, and I enjoyed cooking more when my kids were younger. Now, I don't have to cook for anybody. I can just stop and get something. I know that's not healthy.
No, I was going to say that's a big fat. I wish I had a red buzzer. And that's not it.
Well, that was your red buzzer, what you just said.
As the kids would say, this ain't that. No.
This ain't that.
Because as we get older, it takes us a little bit more time. We can't do the things that we used to do when we were younger. So we really have to pay attention to what we're putting in, because now we have all these other exposures that some things we just can't help,
Right.
Everything from laundry detergent to lotion. Those things you just kind of can't help to some degree, and just whatever pollution and whoever you're around. But we have to put gasoline in our car. We got to put fuel in our bodies.
Right. And the better the fuel, the better.
And it's so the fact that you're talking about bullying, when you think of that, as a child and don't even realize the workplace part of it, but we don't also take into account the chemical reaction that is happening when you eat certain foods.
Yeah.
So now you're at a place where maybe you want to do right, but not too much. You want to do right, but now you done ate all this junk. You can't act like you have some good sense sometimes, because you're only working with your cup of coffee with your espresso shot and a donut.
Yeah.
The chemical reaction of that, it's almost impossible to program yourself to act like you have good sense and treat
right.
the way they need to be treated.
All of that sugar from those things that you just had.
Yeah.
Caffeine and the sugar mixed together is like a rocket fuel for a boost up and then a staunch crash at the bottom.
Exactly. The next thing you know, you're a donkey.
Right.
So, Shani, how can you help somebody like me, for example? Mark said that was your red buzzer. Jean's phone is your red buzzer.
Stop somewhere where? Stop where? You talking about Salad Works?
So how do you help someone like me to change a bad habit or a bad thing, that I'm doing to get my body back right? Because, like you said, as we age, things are different. So, and our bodies respond to things differently. So, and doing damage to your body for so many years, how many ever years it is, can negatively affect your body and your way of thinking.
Exactly. I mean, particularly with your liver and your kidney, if those two things aren't functioning properly, one is responsible for cleanup, and
filtration. Yep.
So if everything is sludge, right? what do you think is going to happen? You can't have
Yeah.
it. So what I say is I'd say like we have a consultation. What are you eating right now? And let's see where we can make little adjustments here and there. Because cold turkey is, well, I mean, let's face it, it's practically impossible. How many people make a resolution or go on a diet only to either end up bigger than they were when they started,
Yeah.
and then that creates a feeling of failure, and it just perpetuates.
Right.
Yeah.
So my thing is, let's do one meatless meal. Let's just do one meatless meal. People think like I have to have meat. You don't, because
Right.
you wouldn't eat a boiled hamburger. You wouldn't boil a hamburger in water and think it was good. It's really just taste and texture that you're looking for. So it's about finding that balance. Like have the burger, but make half the plate vegetables.
Okay.
And then
There you
when you
go.
throw on the can do spice, shameless plug.
Hey.
Then
Plug.
then you have flavor and you're like, wait, I don't need to have all that salt. This is what a green bean tastes like. People eat all kinds of vegetables with smoked meat, which is like to me, because all I taste is that. I don't taste anything other than that meat.
Right.
Yeah.
There's a little residual. Oh, is that what a green bean? I don't even know what a green bean tastes like. If I've only eat it with smoked meat, if I only eat it, my mom used to love to have a piece of fat back. I didn't have to eat that. We weren't raised eating beef or pork, but she was from South Carolina and she did. So I hated New Year's Day when she had to make her set of black eyed peas with a ham hock in it. I'm like,
Oh, man.
it just smells like poop to me. Like I think it's terrible. You know what I mean? It's like, do you even taste the bean? You don't taste the bean. You just
Right.
taste
Exactly.
that pig ankle or whatever it is. But I say that you make a small adjustment. You
Okay.
take something like, for example, one of my seasons is called Island Passion, and that's particularly because I love island cuisine altogether, and it is a combination of jerk and curry flavor. There's also turmeric added because turmeric is good for you. You need the black pepper to absorb it, but I've also put in ashwagandha, and because ashwagandha is like nature's Zoloft. You think of the island, you think of relaxing, but it tastes good. And that's all if you only took some shrimp, don't do anything to it, add the island passion, it's good. People are like, oh, where'd you get this recipe? Like, no recipe. I just literally sprinkled on this. That's every blend is complete. So that's all you have to add. If you do know how to cook or you do enjoy cooking, zhuzh it up. Add some red peppers, do some scallions, that's your thing. But if you don't, I have the answer to fooling everybody. Plus, you added something in. And now once you've tried it in the food, and you're like, okay, so I had ashwagandha. Okay, cool. Let me try a little bit more, and you add that into the rest of your day, and then you don't have to start relying on things like that are only going to take you up to bring you down, like coffee.
Right.
People think that you'll hear that it's good, you'll hear that it's bad, but what I can tell you, I've never heard of caffeine being good for you. But they'll say, well, it's good, it's not bad, Okay, well, the Bible says that we can have everything, but doesn't mean that everything is good for you.
Yeah. And things,
cocaine is natural.
Uh-oh.
You know what I mean? Like if that's where we're gonna go, that doesn't mean it's okay.
Yeah.
So just limit those things. You can there's a dandelion blend that I drink. If you happen to just have to have coffee, it's like the dandelion and chicory root. You can't tell it's not coffee. It's delicious. You have no caffeine, you have no jitters, and you don't have the acid.
Yeah.
Then you're not running to this purple pill. I'm not gonna say what it's called, but that purple pill that says this will help you with the acid, but in a couple of years, come back so we can check on your kidney and your liver and see what it did to that.
Right.
That's sad.
We gotta stop.
Yeah.
I love a good Coke, but I know what it does to a battery acid.
Right. Your gut. Your stomach lining. Yeah.
Wow. You got me scared to eat or drink.
No, but that's it though. We are attracted to color. If you think you can't let go of meat, and there's typically you're gonna have poultry, beef, lamb, I don't know, goat if you're frisky, whatever. But that's really it. But think about the fact that there's 1,000 different types of fruits and vegetables. If you're looking for variety, there's your variety.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Wow. So thank you. Mark said back on New Year's Eve, on New Year's, he had to have his black eyed peas, collard greens, and cornbread. A lot of people do.
I like black eyed peas, but I want them to taste like black eyed peas, not an ankle. I like black.
Not an ankle.
So Shani, we lived in Charleston, South Carolina for 9 years. That was 9 years of my kids' schooling. So what city was your mom from?
She was from South Carolina. She was from a little town called Sumter, which is not too far from Columbia.
Yeah.
And she lived there until she was about 7. And then they came to Pennsylvania to Coatesville. But her mother is one of 14, very much like as Southern as you get, where it's like you wake up in the morning and there's like 18 different varieties for breakfast. Like you just got dropped off at Old Country Buffet when and then it's, they're offended if you don't eat. You're like, but at home we don't eat this much for breakfast. I don't know. I don't really want all this stuff, but you had to, some kind of way you act like you better pack it up or you're gonna have to eat it. And which was difficult for me or for my dad rather, because we were not allowed to eat beef or pork. So everything had pork in it, everything, even the cornbread was like crackling cornbread, and
wow.
That was like my only kind of saving grace that, he would be like, oh no, well, they don't eat that. Like he didn't even let us eat chicken and fish until we were about 6.
That's awesome.
It would have been if I didn't taste the ribeye once I got to
You're converted.
I think I was like 16 when I had a cheesesteak, and I was like, oh my God. But it was different. She like I said, she loved to eat. She loved to help you, but cooking wasn't really not of any real interest of hers. She would just kind of put anything together, but my dad was the cook.
Yeah,
like she fed us, but it might be like a rotisserie chicken and a can of something,
right?
And some rice. We had rice every day.
Yeah.
No, we'll tease her and say she was a geechee. We have rice every day, but she did make that. But the rest of the stuff.
When you said geechee, it brought back memories because when we first moved to Charleston, we were like, what are they saying?
Right.
We couldn't understand what they were saying. And then somebody said that, they're talking geechee. And I'm like, what the heck is that? And where are we at?
Yes.
But, my daughter I don't know if she still can, probably if you get around them, she can, but she could speak that geechee just like them because she was, I think 5. No, she was 6 when we moved to South Carolina. So 9 years of her schooling and 9 years of being around, kids, that were from South Carolina and hearing that language, she was able to, pick it up and still
right in.
Yeah. But Gina and I are both, the kind of people I ain't changing just because other people are doing this or that, and just like, calling pop soda, we still say pop, we were like, we ain't changing just because everybody else is doing something.
Can I be honest?
You say
I only don't say soda because it sounds like something a person of fairer complexion would say. At least I was honest about it.
Well, menus, I believe, say soda. So y'all just
I'm like, listen, can I have a Pepsi? I'll be very specific.
Call it by name, and then we ain't got to have no pop or soda battles. Just give me, that's what it's called on the menu. So Mark says soda is also a Latin name. And then he said Geechee versus Cajun and Creole.
Same culture.
Yep.
He says the Latin name. Okay. All right. Well, so what I want to know is what you typically eat are you officially a yogi?
Me?
Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. So what do you typically eat in a day?
I usually end with, because I only eat once a day. I do intermittent fasting for the
Okay.
most part. I usually end with a big better salad, noodles made out of vegetables, and then beans and things, nuts, avocado, things like that. I always try to get healthy fats in, lots of leafy greens, things of that. So quality carbohydrates.
I love it. So since you're in a different part of the world here, when I fast, particularly if I do an absolute fast with just water, people are like, and how healthy is that? You really need to eat. And I'm like, well, you actually need to educate yourself, because if I will go 3 days with just water, I'm actually more healthy than you are with your however many meals you think you're eating per day. But that's how we have been conditioned to think that, one, you have to have breakfast wherever that came from.
Right.
And two, that, I'm going to die. I'm like, well, so since I've never really actually been rail skinny, I have reserves. So we're going to be good with that, right?
We all do.
But I get a lot of pushback all the time. Like, well, where are you going to get your protein from? I'm like, oh, it's 2023. We still saying this? Are we still saying this? Is this still a thing?
Yeah.
And so it's not just happening here. It's happening where you are too.
Right. Yes, all the time. I get that. But how do you get your protein? You're so big. How do you get protein? Do you not understand that the vegetables and beans and other things that I do eat have way more protein, and it also has the things that help it bind to your cells and the amino acids and things like that. So it has the magnesium and zinc with the protein, so it helps it bond naturally, as opposed to having to get a supplement to add to my diet just to help me with that.
Right. And, I'm still praying, to be freed from some of the vices, some of the food vices that I have. But I can say that if I have a headache, I'm not getting the Advil. I'm not running to that. I just take a few deep breaths of oil of oregano and I'm back. And it's like, well, what about this and what about that? And it's like, you guys, do I look? Let me look in the mirror, because do I look like I'm about to die? I'm confused here. Y'all act like I'm walking around like a keeper, and I feel like I was still lying about my age, but I feel like I'm all right. I've been 28, about 18 times. I think I'm all right.
Right. Yeah.
Hey, Jean, would you do me a favor, please? Would you put your camera, turn your camera off and turn on the light in front of you and behind you?
That one is way too bright. It's gonna cast. I'll show you. It's really bright.
Yeah, because you're getting darker and darker.
Right. Okay. But I did want to say this real quick. Going back to what you said about fasting, what we don't realize is that when you allow the digestive system to purify itself and rest, it actually works at a higher efficiency because it doesn't have to digest. So now, because 95% of our health is in the digestive tract. So when you allow your digestive system to rest, then the body does everything it's supposed to do at an optimized level, and we get it twisted. That's why we have cancer so much in the society, because we eat so much. Even healthy food, eating 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day is just not good. Your body doesn't have time to process that.
Right, and it can't catch up.
Right.
And we don't even realize it. in prayer, this last part that I did in prayer, I was able to go 3 days. But by really the second day, I didn't even have the sense of hunger. And besides not having the sense of hunger, I also had, I don't want to say it's like a metallic kind of taste, but I had a different taste in my mouth where I actually just had no desire to eat anything that was in a package.
Right.
I mean, be honest with you, I'm doing a raw fast, and it just, by day 4, you almost feel like, am I running? Why am I running? I'm supposed to be walking. Like, slow down, and you can really start to deal with what it is that is causing you to want these foods in the first place.
Right.
Typically, we have an emotional attachment to food. We eat when we're happy. We eat when we're sad. We eat after funerals. We eat. We just eat and eat and eat and eat. But if you can start to understand, when you pull things out, you can understand like what's that emotional attachment that you have. Like typically, salty foods or cheeses, meats, or crunchy stuff like chips, they're associated with some sort of suppressed anger or aggression. Sweet foods like cakes, pies, candies, sodas, they're a lot of times associated with unresolved love issues. And our pizza, bagels, things like that, those are all, it's usually associated with some sort of emotional or physical stress. And when we pull those things out, even if we just do it, particularly if we do it one at a time, we can start to feel and really realize and start to deal with some of that emotional trauma that connects us to these bad food choices. Because when you're really starting to love on yourself, for one, you're not, if you truly loved yourself, you wouldn't mistreat other people intentionally.
Right.
And you also, you'll be driven by that to continue to make better choices. Like, I'm not going to do this. Like, this is my temple. I'm not going to treat it this way.
Right.
I wanted to work. I have work to do. The fact that we're still here means we're on assignment. And in order to let everybody know about how good God is, I can't do that with, a trach and a
right.
Oxygen and all. I can't really do that effectively. So I want to be able to honor what I have. We don't take care of what we have, we don't get more.
Right.
Same thing goes with our body. Like,
right.
We say like, well, you gotta die from something. Yeah, but usually food related illnesses, you don't just die. You suffer.
Right. Exactly.
It's not like jumping off the building and that's over. It comes with dialysis. It comes with this pill, that pill.
Right.
And I say that's just truly, it's not my story.
There you go. Taking control and the power of your life. I love it.
No. Mark says chips and candy are his true comfort foods.
So, Shani, tell us about your spices. What are the spices, and how do they help and promote healing?
So I told you a little bit about Island Passion, how it has ashwagandha and turmeric. Then I have a blend I call it Ocean's Essence. And it is like what I use for all of my faux seafood dishes. Although many of my customers tell me that they use it on seafood, but whatever floats your boat. The reason why it's for faux, because it gives you that familiar seafood flavor, like we'll just say Old Bay, but don't tell anybody I said that. Right. It's that familiar flavor that you get without all the salt, but I've added sea moss, burdock root, bladderwrack, nori, kelp, and dulse to give it that like fishy flavor. So I add that to like banana blossoms, to lion's mane mushrooms, to hearts of palm to give it that. And that's how I'll make like a crab cake or, fish and grits even, So we have that. Then I have Mary Greens. Mary Green is my mother's maiden name. And that came about because she loved cabbage. So although I created it for green vegetables, it has CBD. The original version of it has CBD in it because that's what I used to help calm her down with her dementia. Okay. So it's kind of like a play on Mary Green, green vegetables, and Mary Jane.
Mary Jane. Yeah.
So we'll play on that. So it has hints of citrus because lemons really kind of brings out things, but it's parsley, marjoram, basil, and those are all things that really help us for as far as diuretics go. Like parsley is a natural diuretic. It helps reduce bloating and blood pressure. It has garlic, it has onion.
Right.
There's some thyme, and thyme gives you a variety of different minerals and vitamins that promote good health as well. They support potassium for healthy cells. I have rosemary in the island passion. I didn't say that. Rosemary is a powerful antibacterial, antiviral, antifungal, all those things that we need while we have this COVID problem and beyond. But it also helps you reduce the risk of infection, and it helps the immune system fight infection. So those are the things that we need it to do, right? If we give it what it needs, we'll have more luck with that. I have Farm to Soul, which is completely salt-free. That has rosemary, basil, marjoram as well. It also has sage, and sage is rich in K. So that's going to help your body with bone health, also blood clotting, loss of appetite.
Right.
If that's what your thing is what's going on with you, and it also helps with depression and memory loss.
Right.
And then I have Barbecue Bomb, and Barbecue Bomb has lion's mane mushroom powder.
Yes.
So it's going to give you a little sweet and a little heat. It does have sugar in it for now. I'm switching that over to date sugar, but I haven't quite gotten there yet. But that's going to give you that. That's great on everything from meat to even French fries, like if that's your thing. But the lion's mane mushroom powder is going to be great for your brain health.
Wow.
It has bioactive substances that have beneficial effects on the body, particularly the brain, the heart, and the gut. So while I wasn't able to, give my mom the kind of concentration because, prior to, I make sure that I take that regularly. So it also helps boost immunity as well. And then I have Holiday Joy, which is something that I created based on demand, really. I created that in November. It's salt-free, sugar-free. It has a smoked paprika base. So it's like, think of like Mrs. Dash in our kitchen. I'm not really sure what flavor that is. Sorry, Dash, but that's not it. Because I want you to taste like it tastes like love. So you think of like the comforts of the holidays. That's what I want you to feel with that. So
that is beautiful. I want to have
6 blends.
Go ahead, G.
No, I mean, are you still talking? I didn't want to interrupt you.
I know I'm doing a lot of talking, right?
No,
it's your show. My bad.
I was actually about to ask you a question. I love the fact that like you are a chemist in a lot of ways, like as it pertains to the kitchen and the herbs. The fact that you even know like the taste and whatnot, how to like mimic a taste for one thing, and using these different herbs that is amazing.
That's straight the Holy Spirit right there. And that's just something I've always had. So it wasn't really until probably like the last 8 years, maybe 8-9 years, that I've really been honing in on it. But even as a kid, I could eat something. I'm like, oh, I don't like this. Did you use liquid smoke? Like, well, how would you know that? I'm like, oh, I know. Or this is really good. I like the smoked paprika, and they're like, how'd you know? Or I like this chili. I like how you did shallots instead of onions. I'm like, how would you even know that? Because I could taste that.
Right.
And I mean, but that's just divine.
Yeah.
That's all it is. I recreated the Jack Daniel's sauce it was before my daughter was born, so probably about like 12 years ago. Because I'm like, I love that sauce, and I'm like, I'm gonna make this, and it took me like 3 hours. Okay, I did it. That's my thing. My sister's always like, every time we go somewhere, you have to go back home and recreate it. I'm like, yeah, because it tastes good, but there's no love in it, and that's what it's missing. Like I want something where you want to be like, this is so good, I could just kiss myself, like that. That's how I wanted to.
Lord.
Yeah, you do that. I did that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and then like a lot of people don't know about the brain benefits of like you said, lion's mane. I take a supplement, and it so helps with mental clarity.
Yeah, and you know what else helps with mental clarity is cutting out gluten, but we don't want to talk about that.
Yes.
Most people not most people, I shouldn't put everybody in a lump, but a lot of people that I talk to say initially, I don't like mushrooms. And I'm like, well, what kind of mushrooms have you had? If you're just talking about a canned button one, I don't like those either.
Right.
Most people don't like those. There's so many different kinds, there's so many different textures, and you just have to be open to it. Like, like I think I got my dad now at a place where he is okay with being my guinea pig. But initially, he was like, man, if you bring me another mushroom over here. I made some calamari last weekend with king trumpet mushrooms.
I wish
cut a hole out and everything. Like boiled them for like 4 minutes with some sea moss and some nori sheets to kind of give it a more, I don't want to say rubbery, but I'm going to say rubbery flavor. And the sea moss gave it, the nori sheet gave it that fishy flavor. Then I hit it with the ocean essence, breaded it, fried it. I'm telling you.
Wow.
Lord Jesus.
It's like, well, what is that? just try it. Just try it. And then I made some chicken tenders, and my daughter was like, I want some, but I want the real chicken. I'm like, this is the real chicken. She was like, it is not. Like, why do you say that? She was like, because you're a master, but I don't want that. I want the chicken thigh right there. I don't want you take enoki mushrooms and you peel it apart. You can't say that that's not chicken.
Because it looks
it's just taste and texture. It really truly is. You're not eating a boiled, plain, naked piece of chicken any more than you're going to eat a boiled mushroom without any seasoning. You want some flavor, and I got the answer. Just saying.
So what would you make a mushroom steak out of?
I made a steak 2 weeks ago, and it was a lion's mane mushroom. Kept it whole. I didn't cut it, and I used two cast iron skillets, heated them both up, and then used some grapeseed oil and a little olive oil and thyme and rosemary and garlic in the pan, and then pressed the other one on top. Kept it whole though.
Right.
I'm telling you, like you had to even cut it with a knife. Like, this is it. I made surf and turf. It was lion's mane for the crab cake. Broke it apart because the outside is going to be like your claw and the inside is just like your lump meat. And then I kept the other one whole to make the steak. So I had vegan surf and turf. Potatoes, I put them in the oven with rosemary because we think we have to always have them candied, not so. They actually taste really good, savory.
Yeah.
And some Brussels sprouts. It was
delicious. She just gave y'all some recipes, y'all. Listen.
Right. And
you know what I put on
the cookbook?
Barbecue bomb. You know where you can go? Can't do spice that shop. I'm just saying.
Glory.
When is your cookbook coming out? That's what I want to know.
It's coming. I don't have everything I need mentally so far to release it. I did just put our story in an anthology called Empowering You, It's Your Time. And that story was about what I went through with my mom. And we just did everything we could to make sure she stayed home and stayed comfortable. And then that was just very hard.
Yeah.
So, yes. So it actually was an Amazon #1 best-selling. So officially international author because one of the ladies in that book was also from Kenya. And really, it's 9 of us. We're all talking about how we went from tragedy to triumph, really. Each one of us, our first chapter is in the thick of it. You know what I mean? Like my first chapter is called Life Isn't Fair.
Mm.
And then on the other side, just count it all joy. Because if I had to lose my mom just like that, like from a stroke or something, I don't think I can handle it. But it was that gradual decline that it gave me the time I needed to process it.
Right.
And I came out on the other side. We'll just say, like, I came out not charred, I will say. It was not easy, but I'm here. I mean, she was my biggest cheerleader, so now it's kind of like, my dad will always be like, it's good, and his friends will say, I saw a picture of this food you made, but he's not like my mom. My mom was like my cheerleader, like, oh my God, can you taste this? And I'm like, can you just do that once? And my dad's looking at me like, yeah, I'm not, I'm not going to do all that. Like, I'm going to tell you it's good, but I'm not about to, like, not even like one. Can I get a you knocked it out the park?
Go, daughter!
Hey, Shani, do you have that book close to you?
Yeah.
Of course I have the book.
Look at her. She ready.
This book here.
Closer.
Yeah. I do have it close to me, and it's also available on the website at candospice.shop. If you order it from the website, you get a signed copy. It's also on Amazon. You won't get a signed copy of that version, but you can get it. And it was actually very therapeutic. It was so therapeutic, and it was so something that I didn't even know that I needed, because I dealt with like a lot of guilt and shame at times, because there were times where I just wanted it to be over.
Yeah.
And I felt bad about that. But I know now I'm not the only person that feels that way. And it's okay. I'm human. Yeah. I'm not built to be a caregiver, particularly not my mom. Like some people have different relationships with their parents. I'm not one of those people. I talk to my mom every single day.
Yeah.
Of my life. And when she got sick, I was there 3, sometimes 5 times a day, trying to make sure she didn't have to go to a nursing home. And then once COVID hit, I knew that meant I wasn't even going to see her. And there were times that she would do things that I wanted to hurt her. So that I can only imagine somebody who doesn't know who she was would want to do to her. So I had to keep her home. So I had to like release that. I'm talking the ugliest, snottiest cry you can have in that first chapter. But boy, when I got to the other side, it was like, thank you, God. So
hold that book up again.
Hold this book. Empowering you. It's your time.
And I got my signed copy by Shani, and I read your chapter, and it brought back memories for me of working for hospice. It also brought back memories of me, being with my mom, her last days. The last 9 months of her life, I really spent a lot of time with her. And then the last 2 weeks, it was not quite 2, the last week, we put her in hospice. And so I was able to and I was there when she took her last breath, and I gave her permission to leave. But it was so it brought back those memories, when I read your story. And working as a nurse aide and a home health aide, I worked in many nursing homes and assisted living facilities, and then families that kept their parents or adult children that kept their parents home to keep from putting them in nursing homes. And I always applauded them. And it is very hard, specifically when they have memory loss, dementia or Alzheimer's, because they're not aware of what they're doing, know. And that is very hard for a family member. And it's definitely people that, aren't related to them are insensitive to those things. And like you said, they physically abuse them, verbally abuse them. So bullying them is what they do.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't have the compassion, that we have for our own family members that we're having to deal with. So your story was very inspiring, and I understood it, because I understood all parts of it, as far as, oh, I want to hurt her, oh, I want to do this to her,
Mhm.
um, but thanks be to God, we, somehow we get it together, before
Right.
doing things like that,
Mhm.
you know, and that part is good because some people are just abusive, even to their own family members.
And it's like you can snap.
Yeah,
When you hear stories like, oh, a mom and drives her 5 kids into the river and everyone's like
yes,
she's a monster. But
yeah,
I can tell you, I was in a place where I could see that. Like I have a different level of compassion. I'm
yeah,
grateful that I didn't have the I had the capacity to move past that and never act on
Right.
that.
yeah,
But there are times when you're like, when is this going to be over? Like this is just so hard. And that was just May. So to even talk about it now is kind of like, you
Yeah.
know,
yeah,
but I got through it. So thanks to God. And me and God we weren't cool
Right.
for a minute there, like, what is this?
yeah,
But thank, thankfully he's a forgiving God, and we back, we like this again. But before I was like, I don't, why would you do this?
yeah,
It's understandable.
Yeah.
yeah. And a lot of people feel that way, why would you do
Good thing I
this?
was ready.
Yeah. So
But yeah,
you
so it's a place where you can totally end up being a bully. You can be judgmental of someone else who makes the decision that I can't have them at home. But what good would it do to try to keep your parent at home and you mentally you lose it all?
yeah,
So no one can really tell you what's best for you to do. You just have to be strong enough to decide what works for you. And
right.
for me, thankfully, I had the capacity to do it because I had a 9 to 5. I was running a business. I had a cafe. I have a small child. I'm married. So I'm wearing this cape, and I'm like, this thing is made out of lead. Because I'm like,
Yeah,
Right.
but I'm here, and I didn't have to take it out on other people. Sometimes people, they break the heel in their shoe, their whole world falls apart, and then they come to
yeah,
work and act like donkey of the day. But I'm like, if you knew what I was dealing with,
Right.
yeah,
and I came in here and said good morning, oh, you
yeah,
better get it together.
yeah,
You
yeah.
better get it together. Real
Yeah.
quick.
So you talked about your anthology, and so part of bullying, um, we educate and enforce, speaking up, the importance of speaking up, when you're being bullied, because if you don't, you're going to continue to be bullied. So um, I was a part of an anthology 2 years ago. It came out 2 years ago today. Um,
Oh, happy
yeah,
anniversary.
and so, thank you. And so I was one of 26 authors who, we all wrote a story or a poem, um, a short story or a poem. I wrote a poem, but we did it because of George Floyd, his murder. So we did that, and then, like I said, it came out 2 years ago today. So today is our anniversary. So speak up.
Speak up.
We deserve to be heard. And so with bullying, and I have some of those, I can sign it and send it to you. Um, and they're also on Amazon. But, we have to use our voice. If we don't use our voice, we will continue to be bullied physically, mentally, emotionally. Um, and we have to use our voices. And so Gina and I, part of, us being bullied, we didn't use our voices. We didn't have the strength to use our voices. So
Mhm.
basically we couldn't find our voices. Um, we, always, we were people pleasers, wanting to have friends and wanting people to like us. And so it was very hard to speak up. But, I mean, so many years of abuse, and being bullied, we've learned to use our voices, and to speak up. And so, going back to the spices, and you having the knowledge and sharing the knowledge of the different spices and how they help with clarity and with different things, in your body, and how to feed yourself the right things. We have to speak up, by doing those things, the food and the spices, and all of those, that helps us to think clearly. And so when we're thinking clearly, we're able to, that helps us to speak up as well. Um, we have to find things to encourage ourselves and to empower ourselves, to be able to speak up. Gene, you want to add anything?
Yeah, I was going to say when you're healthy at optimal levels, it's easier to be, theoretically speaking, it's easier to be a better person, more conscious, more aware of how your actions affect others. And and again, like I said, like she said, the herbs and whatnot, just in the healthy diet just gets you at a place where everything is better for you or internally, which helps with the mind and body. And
like if you find out school calls on your child is the bully, but then you think, well, what am I sending them off to school with?
Right.
And they left and they had, a Sunny D and they had a Pop-Tart. And then are you really surprised that when they got to school that they weren't acting right?
Right.
I mean, could you really be surprised? The things that we allow as a country in the food here is it's unlawful in the UK. They don't allow you to have the different red dyes and things that we have here. Fruit Loops has a completely different recipe for other places outside of the US. But we allow it because of the politics of it all. So if you send your kids to school with that,
agreed,
that's what you're going to get. My daughter goes to a Montessori school and they're not allowed to have sugar. In fact, for birthdays and things like that, they have to have healthy meals, and those kids are so much more well behaved. It's very low incident of ever having those kind of issues. I mean, they are 3 to 5 years old in the classroom and they got their own snacks. They did chores basically in the classroom. So it has so much to do with your diet because they don't have the maturity level to just behave.
Yeah.
It has to start with what they're eating. You know what it is. What's it going to look like the day after Halloween?
Yeah.
It's looking like somebody's getting beaten.
Right.
That's true. That's true.
But a kid that's snacking on carrots and celery, they're probably just chilling. They're actually able to just be a normal kid. They're like not functioning like a junkie.
Right. The
next things.
Right.
So Shani, I see we're almost out of time. I see your website and how to order going across the bottom. You want to add any last words to the audience?
I really just want to, thank you guys again for having me here, for allowing me to talk your heads off because I just love food. I just love all things food. So I appreciate that. When you have something going on, don't just automatically reach for something in a bottle. Think about what you ate for the day. If you have indigestion, that doesn't mean go and grab some Tums. It means whatever you ate didn't agree with you. So stop that, But Mark says I can't reach for my iced tea. Go ahead. But make it yourself.
There you go. Don't put half of the bag in it.
Well, Gene, you want to say anything?
No, I've enjoyed the show thoroughly. Thank you for coming, Shani.
And thank you for the education. Thank you for coming and thank you for the education. Reach out to www.kendospice.shop. Order your spices, help yourself. And I look forward to seeing that cookbook. You have to do a cookbook because the stuff you were saying and how you're adding those spices to those specific things. I need to know how to cook using those spices, so I can get
Send me
that
the
food.
address. I got you. I got you.
Okay.
If you ever do online cooking shows or something like that, idea,
You
like,
know, I'm
please
thinking,
let me
I'm
know.
thinking that's definitely in the near future. I'm thinking so.
That's an awesome idea,
I
Shani.
gave that idea to another chef and she never took it. So listen, you can charge for that. There's a way to get there. You've been home cooking and look, 10, 15 minutes and that's $400. Charge $10 a head, 30, 40 people on Zoom. Boom.
And we were just talking about ideas yesterday, Shani. There you go.
There we go.
So you got a cookbook, you got your cooking show, online cooking show, virtual cooking show. So we just want to say thank you for watching our show. Thank you for tuning in. Shani, we have enjoyed you and definitely enjoyed the information.
Absolutely.
We send you away with love. Love. I got to get it right. Love. Peace.
Hair grease?
And we and hair grease.
There we go.
Oh, Trey. And we send you joy and happiness. Take care. Bye for now. Check us out again next Sunday at 5 p.m. Central Standard Time. Take care and bye for now.
Thank you and be blessed.
You too.